There was once a young woman named Claire who lived in a small market town in Yorkshire. Claire was 27 years old. She worked as a receptionist at a dental clinic. Every day she greeted patients, answered phones, and booked appointments. The work was steady, but the pay was modest. For 4 years, Claire had been saving money, putting aside a little each month. Looking at her savings, she felt discouraged. The number grew so slowly. She'd be old before she had real money. Claire felt trapped. She worked hard, came home tired, with no energy for a second job. Her savings barely moved. There had to be a better way to build wealth, but she didn't know what it was. In the next village lived Mrs. Blackwell, 72 years old. Everyone knew her as the woman who never worked but always had money. She owned properties, had investments, living comfortably. Claire decided to visit Mrs. Blackwell one Sunday afternoon. She wanted to understand how someone could earn money without constant work. Maybe Mrs. Blackwell could teach her something valuable. The walk took 30 minutes. Claire knocked on the door of a beautiful stone cottage. Mrs. Blackwell opened it with a warm smile, inviting Claire in for tea. They sat in a cozy kitchen, smelling of fresh bread. Claire explained her situation. She worked hard, but her money wasn't growing. She wanted to learn how to make her money work for her. Mrs. Blackwell listened carefully. Then she smiled. "You have asked the right question," she said. "Most people work for money their whole lives, but smart people make money work for them. I am going to teach you 5 principles that changed my life." Claire leaned forward. She was ready to learn. Mrs. Blackwell began with the first principle: you must spend less than you earn. This sounds simple, but most people fail at this basic rule. They earn £1,000 and spend $1,050. That extra 50 comes from credit cards or loans. This is how people stay poor forever. Claire nodded. She understood this. She had always been careful not to use credit cards. Mrs. Blackwell continued. The second principle is to avoid buying things that lose value. A new car loses thousands of pounds the moment you drive it off the lot. A fancy phone is worthless in 2 years. Designer clothes go out of style. These things drain your money. Instead, buy things that can make you money or hold value. Claire thought about the new laptop she had been planning to buy. It was expensive. Maybe she did not really need it yet. The third principle is the most important one, Mrs. Blackwell said. You must find ways to earn money while you sleep. This is called passive income. It means your money works for you even when you are not working. Claire asked how this was possible. Mrs. Blackwell explained. There are many ways. You can rent out property. You can invest in businesses. You can create something once and sell it many times. You can lend money and earn interest. The key is to use your savings to create income streams. Mrs. Blackwell stood up and walked to the window. She pointed outside. See that small cottage next door? I bought it 30 years ago for very little money. I fixed it up myself. Now I rent it out. Every month, someone pays me rent. I do almost nothing. The property earns money for me. Claire felt excitement building inside her. This made so much sense. Mrs. Blackwell sat back down and shared the fourth principle. Start small and grow slowly. Do not try to become rich overnight. Use a small amount of money to create a small income stream. Then use the profits from that to create another stream. Build slowly over time. She explained how she started. 2 years ago, she was a teacher. She saved every penny she could. When she had saved £500, she bought a small piece of land. She did nothing with it for years. Eventually, someone wanted to rent that land for farming. Suddenly, she was earning money from land she was not using. Claire asked what the fifth principle was. Mrs. Blackwell looked at her seriously. Never stop learning. The world changes. New opportunities appear. Old opportunities disappear. You must keep learning about money, investments, and business. Read books, talk to people, Pay attention. Knowledge is the real wealth. Claire spent the whole afternoon with Mrs. Blackwell. They talked about different ways to create passive income. Mrs. Blackwell explained that even with a small amount of money, Claire could start. She could rent out a spare room in her flat. She could buy items cheaply and rent them out. She could invest in funds that paid dividends. She could learn a skill and create online courses. She could write an ebook and sell it forever. The possibilities were endless. When Claire walked home that evening, her mind was buzzing with ideas. She felt like she had been given a map to a treasure that was always there, but she had never seen it before. The next day, Claire looked at her small flat with new eyes. She had a spare bedroom that she never used. It was full of boxes and old furniture. What if she cleared it out and rented it to a student? She spent the next 2 weeks cleaning and painting the room. She bought a simple bed and desk from a charity shop. She posted an advertisement online. Within 3 days, a university student contacted her. He needed a room near campus. He agreed to pay £400 per month. Suddenly, Claire had passive income. £400 every month. Money that came in whether she went to work or not. It was not a fortune, but it was a start. Claire did not spend that money. She remembered Mrs. Blackwell's advice. Use your profits to create more income. After 6 months, she had saved £2,400 from the rent. She used that money as a deposit on a small investment fund. The fund paid her dividends every quarter. Not much, but it was another stream of income. Another way her money was working for her. A year passed. Claire now had rent coming in from her spare room and dividends from her investment. She continued working at the dental clinic, but she felt different. She was not trapped anymore. She was building something. She started learning about property investment. She read books from the library. She joined online forums. She talked to people who owned rental properties. Knowledge was becoming her greatest asset. After 2 years, Claire had saved enough for a deposit on a small flat, not to live in, but to rent out. She bought a 1-bedroom flat in a less expensive area. She rented it to a young couple. After paying the mortgage, she was left with £200 profit each month. Now, Claire had 3 income streams. It's her job, her spare room, her rental property, and her investment dividends. 4 ways money was coming to her. 5 years after her conversation with Mrs. Blackwell, Claire visited her again. This time, she brought a gift. A bottle of nice wine and a thank you card. Mrs. Blackwell was delighted to see her. She asked how things were going. Claire explained everything she had built. The room rental, the investment fund, the rental property, the new skills she had learned. Mrs. Blackwell smiled with pride. You understand it now, she said. Money is not just something you earn by trading your time. Money can multiply itself if you give it the right conditions to grow. Claire nodded. She understood completely now. She was still working at the dental clinic, but it was no longer her only option. If she wanted to, she could quit. Her passive income was growing. In a few more years, it might even exceed her salary. But Claire had learned something more important than money. She had learned how to think differently. She no longer saw the world as a place where you traded time for money until you were too old to work. She saw opportunities everywhere. Every problem was a potential business. Every skill was a potential income stream. Every bit of savings was a seed that could grow into something bigger. The 5 principles Mrs. Blackwell taught her had changed everything. Spend less than you earn. Avoid things that lose value. Create passive income. Start small and grow slowly. Never stop learning. These were not complicated secrets. It was simple truths that most people ignored. Claire had been lucky. She asked the right person at the right time. But the real luck was that she actually listened and took action. Many people hear good advice and do nothing. Claire heard it and changed her life. That was the difference between dreaming about wealth and actually building it. Years later, Claire would teach these same principles to her own children. She would tell them about Mrs. Blackwell. She would explain how one conversation on a Sunday afternoon had set her on a completely different path. The lesson is simple. Your financial future is not determined by how much you earn. It's determined by what you do with what you earn. You can work for money your whole life, or you can make money work for you. The choice is yours, but the choice must be made. Doing nothing is also a choice. It is the choice to stay exactly where you are. Claire made a different choice. She chose to learn. She chose to act. She chose to build. And that choice changed everything.